Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with the story in which a customer convinced he's been overcharged for his home phone service. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Calls me an idiot, then admits to fraud. Enjoy your cancellation notice. So a bit of backstory. I work for one of the UK's large internet, home phone, and TV providers. I deal with tech support, sales, general customer relations, and so on. Now, my company only supplying home phone services opposed to business phone lines is important to the story, as you'll soon find out. So a customer calls in to express his rage that we've been overcharging his phone bill for months. I used to pay £10 per month, and now I'm paying $70. Checking his account, he's downgraded from paying a set £10 to make unlimited amounts of calls to a pay-per-minute plan, and due to making 90-ish calls to the same number per month, he'd been charged for the usage per minute, which racks up huge costs. Of course, he's furious, states he doesn't use his house phone to make calls, so shouldn't be incurring charges. He only has his house phone to divert calls to his business, as his house number was being used as a business line. We should have told him this would happen, a typical line from customers in my industry. He wants a refund for the £210 in charges he's incurred due to his own error. For those who don't know much about phone calls, etc., when you divert a call from line A to B, it's actually line A, customer's home phone, calling line B, customer's business phone, in order to transfer the line to them, and therefore it counts as making a call, therefore still charged per minute. I inform him that diverting the call is the same as his home phone calling his business, and this is why there's charges. I also inform him we provide domestic and not business lines, and that using the line for business is a breach of his contract with us, so I can't refund him for the charges. Long pause on his end, and then I practically hear the foam coming from his mouth as he starts screaming at me that, as a customer of 6 years, I'll take you and your company to the cleaners if you even think of canceling my contract, and if I don't get my charges back, I will sue you for loss of earnings and the stress you'll cause me, the loss of my effing customers, and blah, blah, blah. Being an experienced agent, I usually warn customers 3 times about abuse and then will disconnect the call. However, through the whole experience, something isn't sitting right with me about the info he's giving, and how his bill is so damn high from diverted calls all to the same business number. So I ask about the volume of calls that are coming through and what business he's running. By this time, he's so furious and acting like an invincible big man, and so sure he has grounds to sue if we disconnect for breach of contract terms, that he reveals he's running a call center with 36 agents using our phone line service. Basically, his customers would call his house phone number and he was paying for us. It would divert to his call center, where his customer service agents would then answer the diverted calls and arrange boiler repairs and installation, etc. This, of course, is a huge breach of contract and a massive cost to the company I work for. Usually, at the point a customer telling us, I use my house number to run a business, it's not huge. It's more along lines of a designer, DJ, hairdresser, freelance IT who gives clients their home number because they don't have an office, etc. This guy, however, takes first prize for his audacity of running a call center from our services, so I tell him that I'll speak to another department and call him back. You know, yes, Mr. Customer, I'll see what I can do, Mr. Loyal Customer. So I speak to our compliance and fraud teams to investigate the breach of contract. The fallout, they issue him with a 31 cancellation letter informing him that he has 31 days to find a new provider before we cut him off for breach of contract. Because his line rental was still within a minimum term contract, he has to pay early termination charges, $18.99 per month for the 15 months left of his contract, £284 additional charges to him. He'll not be receiving the disputed charges because he's broken his contractual agreement with us. Funny thing is, if he was nicer, I'd have let it slide. I've never emailed compliance on a customer except this guy. Good riddance. I don't get what this guy's game was. He had his home phone line forwarded to his business line. What was his advantage in that? Why not just have customers call his business line directly? And our second story. New IT manager thinks she owns my free time. Nope. This has been getting on my nerves. About a month ago, my previous manager quit, retirement, and the company hired a new replacement last week. I'm basically a junior IT assistant at a local mid-size-ish company, about 200 employees in total. IT department's small. We're 3 employees plus 1 manager who's clueless about what our job is about. Long story short, the previous manager was a chill guy who got the job done, and the new one is Karen from hell. 40-something, loud, plays tough, likes to micromanage. She's always complaining about something around the office, nagging us for reports and the beloved spreadsheets, asking if any tickets are pending instead of reading our reports and updates that are on her computer. We have the land mail for that very reason. Other than that, she's been at this point attacking me for not doing as she commands. Number one reason for this is me not willing to basically do unpaid overtime. She decided we should have Google meetings on Saturdays outside my shift and from home. What for? No clue. She just wants to do meetings with everyone. I respectfully told her I don't work on Saturdays and that the contract I signed specifies my shifts. Same goes for the other 2 guys, and she told me, fine, but you're home, you can join anyway. My contract says nothing about WFH. It's basically not a thing for this department, and I applied to this job because of it. I don't want to work from home or turn my room into an office. That's why, offices exist. Anyway, a couple days passed, and she seemingly was in a better mood, said she made a WhatsApp group for us to keep up with work, and once again my answer displeased her. I said I can't join her group because I don't use WhatsApp, because I don't use a smartphone, which is the literal truth. At first she thought I was joking, but then insisted on it and ended up saying, well, get one, it's required for work, before leaving. This isn't required for work at all, and we both know it. We already have meetings at the company. There's a big meeting room for everyone. It's usually other departments who make them, and we just sit there and listen. IT's the other kind of thing everyone needs but no one appreciates. I know an IT who dislikes work from home and has no smartphone. Well, it's what I was able to get, honestly. I was a mediocre waitress before this. We're fighting over the most idiotic things, honestly. This whole meeting could have been an email. Applies here. If you have something to say, just email us, right? You don't have to be pedantic about everything. At least that's what I believe. Perhaps I'm wrong and she's right. She took me into a room to talk and told me I'm being unprofessional and that I should listen to her because she's been in this more than me, and that if I continue with this attitude, she'll write me up. Also told me I still look like a high schooler, and that's not serious for a company like this for not doing makeup, religious reasons, or not hanging out with my coworkers, more outside work hours. And the whole you look like a high schooler thing? Red flags. Excuse me, what? That's not feedback. That's just straight up inappropriate. Also, since when is not wearing makeup unprofessional? Last I checked, IT isn't a beauty pageant. And our last story. My boat neighbor tried to scam me, then sabotage me, but I had the last laugh. This all started a few years ago when I bought a boat and docked it at a privately owned marina in Hawaii. It wasn't in the best shape, and I needed someone experienced to teach me how to restore it properly. That's when I met him, my soon-to-be boat neighbor, who at first seemed like the perfect guy for the job. He knew boats, was available to help, and charged a fair rate of $50 an hour. At least that's what I thought. It didn't take long for me to realize that I was getting scammed. The guy was milking the clock, dragging out simple tasks that should have taken an hour into 3 or 4, conveniently needing extra time to run errands, and just generally wasting time while I was paying him for it. When I finally caught him blatantly stalling, I fired him on the spot. That's when the real problems began. He claimed I owed him $700 for work already done, and I refused to pay until he fixed the mess he left behind. Instead of making things right, he took me to court and lost. And let me tell you, he did not take that well. After losing in court, he tried to fight me and my friend right outside. When that didn't work, he shifted to sneaky, underhanded tactics. Tools started going missing, fishing poles disappeared, keys to my moped vanished for days, then magically reappeared after I confronted him. At first, I tried to ignore it, but then things got dangerous. One night, I was riding my moped when the back tire started wobbling. I pulled over, checked the wheel, and realized that 4 of the 6 lug nuts were completely gone, and the last 2 were barely holding on by a thread. If I hadn't caught it in time, that could have been catastrophic. This was no coincidence. Someone had tampered with my moped, and there was only one person on my suspect list. The breaking point came after I'd been out on the water for the day. My friend walked up to the table where this guy was sitting and casually asked if anyone had a lighter. He snapped. Full meltdown mode. He started screaming, threatening us, and telling us outright that he was going to hurt us. We recorded the whole thing. That was it. I wasn't going to wait around for this to escalate further. We filed for a restraining order. Now this is where things got even crazier. The police arrived at the Marina to serve the TRO, temporary restraining order, but the guy refused to open the gate. Instead, he ran straight to the landlady, who, let me tell you, is not someone who likes drama. She owns the dock and doesn't even like having boats there in the first place. She's always paranoid about security and any kind of attention being drawn to her business. So what does she do? She calls me, absolutely raging. Either you drop the TRO or I will evict you. I was stunned. I'd done nothing wrong. I was trying to protect myself and my property, and now she was threatening to throw me out just because she didn't want any trouble at her dock? This wasn't just unfair, it was illegal. I wasn't sure what to do next. Losing my dock space would be a disaster, but dropping the restraining order would be even worse. This guy had a reputation for being violent and vindictive, and if I backed down now, he'd only escalate further. So I called the police and explained the situation. They immediately reassured me. She absolutely cannot evict you for filing a restraining order. In fact, if she even tried, she'd be hit with a list of charges, including retaliatory eviction, coercion, and obstruction of justice. The officer made it very clear if she followed through with her threats, she'd be the one getting arrested. That was all I needed to hear. I called her back, let her know I'd been recording all our calls, and even played them back for her just in case she forgot what she said. The silence on the other end of the line was priceless. Suddenly, her whole tone changed. She backpedaled hard, saying she was just stressed and that she didn't mean it. Meanwhile, the TRO stood, and my boat stayed right where it was. With the restraining order in place, my boat neighbor from hell had to leave. He never came back. Your boat neighbor went from being a shady scam artist to a full-blown saboteur. And the way he escalated was genuinely disturbing. Tampering with your moped like that? That's not just petty revenge, that's attempted harm. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.